Hi there everybody, it's Verity here from Inkybutterfly.com. Thank you very much for joining me again today. So today we are blog hopping with the InspireINK group, and we have a colour challenge that we're all participating in this time around. So our inspiration colours are Bumblebee, Misty Moonlight and Soft Succulent. So all of those are current in colours, which really nice. I do love the in colours. It's always a pity when they retire at the end of their 2-year stint. So I have decided to use In Symmetry to create my card today. Okay, and this was the result. Also brought in the scalloped contour dies just to add some extra interest to the front there. Okay, so something a bit different in terms of a layout for me, but I hope you like it. So in true Verity style, we're going to just change a couple of things and see how that turns out. Okay, so materials then, I've just got a plain white card base, cut and folded in the usual way. I've just pulled out the die that I want to use for the top of there, scrap of basic white, and then I've got a bit of the Sweet Symmetry designer series paper. So the colour in there is Bumblebee. So I've just brought out a scrap of that. So it's a slightly different design to the one that's on there. They were just offcuts from other cards that I've made. So I think this is it's about 2 inches. It's just an offcut. So it is a 2-inch strip. So the width is what's probably critical, and then I'm just going to trim that down to where I want it. For the detail on the card. And then I've got one of these square vellum doilies, which are really super cute, and they are fantastic for applying colour to. So vellum's not super happy being too wet, but we can use alcohol markers on them quite successfully. So I think what we'll do is, instead of using the Misty Moonlight that I've done on there, we're going to change it slightly. We're going to use the Soft Succulent instead. So this time round, I'm going to use the dark one, I think. This time round, all the in colours are available as in the Stampin' blends. Last couple of years we've only had 4 out of 5, probably because they were probably too similar in colour to some existing ones. So the ones from last year, we don't have a Bumblebee one, for example. So I kind of resort to, you know, my is it Daffodil Delight? Yeah, Daffodil Delight. For the yellow, and there's also So Saffron as well. So anyway, but this year, yeah, we've got all 5 colours available, which is really cool. And I'm just twittering away there, but what you can see what I'm doing, I'm just rubbing over the this doily with the marker. I am going to go over the middle. I mean, it's not probably going to show, but you never know which bits will poke out when you actually put your card together. So you can keep going over that and adding more colour if you want to. Doesn't sort of accept the colour in the same way as cardstock does. You do sometimes get a bit of streaking and stuff, but I think that can kind of add texture to the as well. So got some colour on that, happy with that. So that was the dark Soft Succulent that I did there. When you buy your Stampin' blends, they do come in pairs anyway, so just put that away in my storage thingy just there. So that's ready to go. So on our scrap piece of paper, we want to do our stamping. So we'll start with our Soft Succulent and get our stems and leaves in place. Okay, so I've already mounted my stamps onto my blocks. It's photopolymer, which means this is going to be super easy to line up. Just placing the stem down first. And actually I'm going to do the flower next, so I'm going to switch it into the Misty Moonlight. So the reason I'm doing the flower next is so that I don't position the leaves on the stem too high up. Okay, so I'm just going to look through the stamp and identify where the top of that stem is going to be and just press that into place. Okay, really lovely image that we're going to get off those photopolymer stamps. Bring back the soft succulent and our leaves. So again, it's very easy to visualise the stem through the middle of the stamp, especially if you can get your head right over the top. And we'll put a pair of leaves just there. You could add more leaves if you want to, but I just want a nice simple flower like that. And then to bring in the bumblebee, I'm going to put the sentiment in bumblebee. I'm just going to turn that round so I've got a straight edge on that cardstock, and just grab a clean piece of grid paper. So grid paper is really useful for lining up your stamps, okay? So what I've already done is lay the stamp down onto my grid paper, made sure it's straight, and pressed it onto my block, so I know that that is straight on my clear block. But now I want it to be straight on my cardstock, so I can just trim it down. So I'm going to line up the cardstock with a line on the grid paper. So now I know the cardstock is straight. And if I then position this so that I'm lining it up with one of the other lines on the grid paper, the theory is that if everything else is straight, this should be straight, if you know what I mean. So we'll press that down there, and then hopefully it's just a case of trimming that off and shortening it off for the card. Okay, so that's a really good way to use your grid paper. And that is all the stamping that we need to do. Right, just need to, we'll die cut out the topper image next. So I'll probably stamp that a little high on that piece of card, but we'll just go with it. So we'll push that as high as it will go on there. Just eyeballing that so that it's central at least, with widthwise at least. And then the rest we'll work with. So I'm just pressing that into place with some tape. I'm going to take that over to my cut and emboss. This is a very well used plate, but I just wanted to tell you that if you're using sort of these sort of regular shaped dies, squares or rectangles in particular with corners basically and straight sides, you don't want to really be running it through so that the roller's hitting that die full on. So I'm just twisting it on the plate as far as I can so that it sort of led in from the corner there. Top plate goes on top and we just wind that through. It's a lot easier to wind through, it's less wear and tear on your machine. Okay, so it is a good tip if you're able to do it. You can't do it with everything because of the sizing of things, but that is one top tip there. So now we've got this little piece that we just need to trim our sentiment out of. So the stamping trimmer is a fabulous piece of kit. So this isn't going to show super well on the camera probably, but there's a series of sort of ridges in the way this little clear arm is formed, which helps you sort of line things up when you're not necessarily measuring things, if you know what I mean. So the edge of that cardstock is going to run about there, and I can see that the tails of the letters are sort of level with this sort of raised part there, and I want that to be the same for the top half. So I'm going to twizzle it round and line up the tops of those letters with that same position, that raised element there. Okay, just like that. Make sure it's all straight and then cut it, and we should end up with a nice even top and bottom border on that, and that looks pretty cool to me. So the sentiment is sort of central in terms of its height. So again, we can use this to gauge where we want to cut our sentiment down to. So I want this end to be blunt. I'm leaving that end open until we actually put the card together, and then I can decide how much I want to keep on the end of that. All right, so now all we need to do is put that together. Oh, still need the trimmer, sorry, still need the trimmer. Right, so first thing, we're going to get our doily positioned somewhere around there, I reckon. So I'm just going to pop a bit of Stampin' Seal on the back of that, if I can find it. Just a couple of strips just to hold that in place. Doesn't take a lot to hold down one of these little doilies. So we'll just tack that on the back there, and that's where it's landed, so that's where we'll go. And then the strip of paper is going to be twisted the other way, and I want bits to sort of poke out either side, on the top and the bottom there. Okay, so I'm going to cut it about here, whatever that is. What did that end up being? It's about, let's take it to 3 3/4. It's a nice easy measurement. Okay, so this has ended up 3 3/4 by 2. And again, what we'll do is we will, in fact, actually, yeah, that's right. So I'm just going to put a couple of strips of my adhesive in the middle of this, because that's where it's going to stick, and we're not going to end up with any stuff hanging out the sides. So you don't want it at too jaunty an angle, because you still want it to fit on your card. So I'm just going to float that over the top. There we go, that's where it's going to land. Okay, and then just for a bit of additional interest, we're going to put the whole lot up onto some dimensionals. Okay, so dimension and height add interest to even the simplest of cards. If you're wanting to just add a little oomph to something, it's very easy just to put something up onto some dimensional, and all of a sudden you've changed the look. It's very surprising how much of a difference it makes sometimes. So again, I'm concentrating on making sure that that middle white topper is straight, and sometimes that's hard when you've got all these other lines telling you it's not straight, if you know what I mean. But you know, do your best, eyeball that, and see what you think. So then our sentiment's going to go across here, so I think we're going to cut it about there. It's all very much personal preference. Okay, so that looks cool to me. Another couple of dimensionals on the back of that, but we'll make sure that they're towards this end, because that other end is going to be sort of hanging off. You don't want anything weird underneath there. And there we go. Final finishing touch will be some of the in colour jewels. And then, these are the, what do you call it, the 2020, what year are we in, 2021 jewels. Okay, so we've got the soft succulent jewels that we can add to that. So I'm just going to grab a pokey tool, and you know, it's rules of threes. Okay, so just use your tool just to position that on there. And just sort of ties the colour all together. So we've just got that pop of blue in the flower there. Whereas on the original, which I'm just going to bring that in for you, the blue was only in the sentiment. So it's all very much a mixy-matchy kind of thing. I'm leaning towards this particular orientation. I don't know why, but it just seems to work a little better for me. But that said, this isn't unattractive in any way, shape or form. Just different options to use the same three colours and the same three colours and the same products to create a different look on your card. Okay, so I mentioned at the start that this is part of a blog hop, so please do click on the description and you will see loads of links there for other people's blogs. Do go and visit them, see what they've all done. And if they have got videos, please do like, subscribe, etc, etc. Okay, thanks ever so much for joining me today. Hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.